So what I want to do is really talk about why we need supplements. So I think we all know the United States is super, super unhealthy. Disease and obesity especially are on the rise. And the main reason for that is we just don't know what we're eating. It's not possible to get enough nutrients in our daily food intake. Currently in the US, we're using over 3,000 chemicals and additives. And for the most part, these are used in the most common foods that we're eating every single day. So I really like starting with an example that hits home for most people, which is lunch meat. I think it's really easy on the go. A lot of people feed it to their kids, pack lunches for work. But ultimately, it's genuinely one of the worst foods that you can be eating. And the main reason for that is lunch meat carries a very toxic cancer causing chemical called nitrates. And this is in almost every single lunch meat you can possibly pick up. Now, aside from there being nitrates in the lunch meat, everything that's given to the animals, the cows, the pigs, etc., we ultimately ingest. So when these animals are given steroids, antibiotics, anything to make them kind of plumper and bigger and just give the farmer more bang for the buck, we are taking all of that in when we eat this meat. That's something that you guys really want to think about when you're at the store. So there is a particular brand which is nitrate free. It's called Applegate Farms. There's also local Usingers does not use nitrates either, which is pretty awesome. But Applegate is the one you're going to find in most stores. Now, the owner of Applegate Farms is super passionate about really quality meat. So if you do buy that, you know it's going to be okay. You are going to see a higher price point on it. I just typically tell people, think about if you go out to eat. If you grab a sub somewhere, if you grab a sandwich at Panera, you're going to pay $6, $7 for one sandwich. So if you're paying that for a pack of lunch meat, at least you're getting 3 to 4 sandwiches out of it. It's not going to be the same price as like your healthy choice type meats where they run maybe like $3 to $4 a package. It's definitely a little bit more, but it absolutely pays off in terms of your health. So while we're talking about meat, what I found really, really interesting was in 2013, Russia actually banned import on pork, beef, and turkey from the United States. And the reason for that is we use so many additives in our meat still that are illegal in Europe. So over there, they've deemed it unsafe for human consumption, yet in the US, it's still fine, which is extremely disturbing. So upon testing these hormones in Russia, one of the main stress hormones they found that's been given to pigs in the United States was causing in the animals hyperactivity, trembling, broken limbs, and in a lot of cases, death. In humans, it was proven to cause weight gain, tremors, insomnia, and headaches. So I know that information's a little like wah wah, but you guys, I know Angie's laughing, right? It's such a bummer, but you really want to think about making sure your health is in your own hands. I don't ever want to bash government, bash FDA, but at the end of the day, a lot of food labeling, chemicals, ingredients is a money game. It's an opportunity for companies to make money, which is a big way that things are regulated. So hearing information like this is always a bummer. It's unfortunate, but it's definite reason to do some research and make sure that you understand what types of products you're purchasing. So thinking about everyday foods, let's talk a little bit about cooking oil. A lot of people use olive oil. We're taught, I think, for the most part, that that's the big go-to. It's really not. Olive oil is awesome. It's good for you, but it's really meant to be used more of a room temperature type ingredient. So we're talking about dressings when you're making something like hummus or doing a light saute. It stems from a Mediterranean diet, and a lot of their foods are room temperature and very, very lightly cooked foods. Vegetable oil is another one. Vegetable oil, this was really interesting for me when I initially started studying cooking oils. So if you guys think about it, you could be in like a body shop type store and find a glycerin soap or some type of a soap, and vegetable oil is a common ingredient in there, brominated vegetable oil. It's actually used to harden things. So when you think about hardening of the arteries, that should be a little bit of a red flag. So if you're consuming a lot of vegetable oil, you're going to want to make sure you switch to a better cooking oil as soon as possible. And there's 2 recommendations that I have, and I know Angie's on board with these as well. So one of them is coconut oil. Coconut oil is awesome. The consistency of it's a little bit different. For those of you that have never used it, do not worry. Your food will not taste like coconut. But it does brown everything beautifully. So when you're using it, especially in a saute pan, Food tastes fabulous. It coats everything really well, and a little bit goes a really, really long way. And then the other one is avocado oil. So avocado oil, I'm a huge fan of. A lot of people are not using it. It has a really high, what we call flash point. For example, with the olive oil, if you heat olive oil over 350 degrees, it becomes a carcinogen, which essentially is like a toxic cancer causing chemical in your body. Okay. So you want to make sure whatever cooking oil you're using, it has a high flash point. It can handle some heat, and avocado oil can handle some heat. So that's another really, really good alternative for you guys. Moving on to sugar. And I know I'm moving pretty quickly here, and there's a lot of stuff I can cover, but I really want to talk about the things that I think impact the most people and what we need to be focused on as a whole. So let's talk about that. Now, in terms of sugar, the average adult should consume at a max between 34 to 40 grams of sugar per day. This is really interesting and very, very scary. When you start looking at the foods that are in a lot of our refrigerators, your average yogurt, for example, is over 14 grams of sugar in a yogurt. When you start getting into those ones that are like fruit on the bottom and all that kind of stuff, you're talking even closer to 20, and I've seen one as high as 24, which to me just blew my mind. So if you want to be a healthy adult, you don't want to gain weight, and especially if you want to lose weight, you want to stick to this 40 to 40 grams of sugar per day. That makes it pretty tough if you consume something like one yogurt that has 24 grams of sugar in it. Pretty unbelievable. Soda, for example, average soda is somewhere between 24 and 42 grams of sugar per serving. So if you have one soda, that's it for the day. You cannot have another gram of sugar. And we all know that that's pretty impossible. So as far as kids, 12 to 14 grams of sugar per day is really what they should be consuming. And I found that very interesting. So I started looking around a little bit at what's in a lot of kids' foods. And you know, parents are busy, right? We don't all have time to cook really balanced meals for our kids in the morning and send them off to school. But I will tell you for sure, if there's something you want to avoid, it's sugar, a lot of sugar in the morning, and especially in cereals. So as I was looking around at some of the best-selling cereals on the market for little kids, Fruity Pebbles popped up. So I started looking into this, and what I found with Fruity Pebbles is that a serving, first of all, is 3/4 of a cup, which is hysterical because nobody eats 3/4 a cup of cereal. We know for sure they're going to eat twice as much as that at a cup and a half. At 3/4 a cup, it's 9 grams of sugar per serving. So if they do the double pour, which we know is going to happen, even if mom and dad are pouring it for them, it's going to be a double pour. That's already 18 grams of sugar. So the sugar intake for the day for the kid is done. And all they've had is a little bit of cereal in the morning. Chances are they're probably also following it up with maybe a banana or a piece of fruit, and then probably some apple juice. Then we go to school, and then we eat school lunches. And I would really, really encourage you guys, because this is so fascinating, at some point Google school lunches in other countries and look at what other countries are feeding their kids in the middle of the day. It will blow your mind compared to what we feed our kids in the US, which is like breaded chicken and, you know, little pre-jarred and canned containers of fruit and a sugary cookie. It's just crazy. And then we wonder why our kids are having behavioral issues. If you search the direct correlation between kids eating a lot of sugar and having behavioral issues, it will blow your mind. Literally, Google it, and it's unbelievable how much information and how much studies have been done on how those two are related. So in those crazy Fruity Pebbles, if you read the ingredients, they said rice, sugar, vegetable oil. What in the world? Vegetable oil in the cereal. And we already know that's not good for us, and we're giving it to the kids. Salt, red number 40, crazy cancer causing and illegal in most countries. Yellow number 6, blue number 1, and BHA, which is a very common preservative. And what's interesting is BHA and BHT are both preservatives. Neither one of them have ever been tested in human consumption to find out if they're actually safe. They're just used as preservatives. We don't even know if they're safe for humans. So it's pretty unreal. Okay, so let's talk about some alternatives for sugar. And this is what gets to be really interesting, you guys. So for those of you, if any of you eat like, you know, low fat or diet, stop doing that immediately, because honestly, it's always better for you to have the regular version of anything than the low fat, low sugar diet, whatever's out there, because you have to understand, if they're taking content out of something, they have to replace it. So if they pull sugar out of something, how are they going to go ahead and make it taste sweet again? And one of the big ones is aspartame. And this one's pretty major. So aspartame is now also going by something called amino sweet. So when you're reading labels, that's something you want to look for, amino sweet. One of the biggest issues is diet soda. So aspartame is in diet soda. It's absolutely crazy. And aspartame has a combination of 3 different ingredients. And some of the issues with these ingredients is that they stimulate the cells in your body literally to the point of death. They're very toxic. And when you consume a lot of it, it actually behaves as formaldehyde in the body, which is pretty unbelievable. You'll also find aspartame in NutraSweet, Equal, and Spoonful. So when I was doing some research, what I found really interesting about aspartame is if you were to look at every single case of adverse reactions in food or food-related issues, basically, reported to the FDA, 75% of those issues are from aspartame. Here's some of the 90 different symptoms: headaches and migraines, nausea, dizziness, rashes, vision and hearing loss, memory loss, muscle spasms, anxiety, vertigo, seizures, and weight gain. And as a result of these things, they're finding an increase in MS, birth defects, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and epilepsy. So if that does not convince you to stay away from aspartame, otherwise known as amino sweet, I don't know what will. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
And a couple more things here. So let's talk about high fructose corn syrup. This is another big one. And if any of you guys watch TV, you've probably seen commercials lately for high fructose corn syrup. And this one that just cracks me up is like this couple, like a young couple having a picnic outside, and they're sitting on their blanket and they're talking about how high fructose corn syrup is actually good for you, which is total bull. Be careful on the labels because they are now calling high fructose corn syrup just corn syrup. So if you see corn syrup on a label, stay away from it. Now, here's the issue with high fructose corn syrup. It contains, for the most part, mercury, which is a byproduct of pollution. Now, of the major brands tested that have high fructose corn syrup on the label, 1 in 3 of the products had toxic amounts of mercury. And these are brands that we all know. Brands like A&W, Hunt's ketchup, Nutri-Grain bars. Unbelievable. Nobody would expect mercury in Nutri-Grain bars. So you really need to pay attention to that. And now the average American is consuming 50 grams of high fructose corn syrup per day, which comes out to about 60 pounds per person per year. So since high fructose corn syrup became widely used, obesity has tripled and diabetes has gone up like absolute crazy. So those are 2 of the biggest artificial sweeteners you guys want to watch out for: aspartame, aka amino acid, and the high fructose corn syrup, aka corn syrup. So if you're writing down anything, write down those 2 to avoid like the plague. Type them in your cell phone so when you're shopping, you remember that. Let's talk about milk really quickly, and then I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes of just general info when you're at the store, and then Angie's going to take over. So very, very quickly talking about milk. You guys probably noticed milk used to have a slogan that said, "It does a body good." They were actually getting sued for that because it does not do a body good. And the slogan was changed to "Got Milk," and they started using a lot of professional athletes and celebrities to market it. What's interesting about milk is it cannot be sold raw. It can only be sold pasteurized. Now, the pasteurization process essentially heats the milk very, very quickly to kill the bacteria in it, and then cools it very, very quickly to make it shelf stable. Because when you think about it, it's kind of weird that you should be able to keep a gallon of milk for a couple weeks, right? Now, in that pasteurization process, because it heats everything so quickly, it also kills everything good in it. So it's killing bacteria. It's also killing anything that we've been told in it, like any calcium and nutrients. Now, if you look at the countries, and this is another thing you can Google, it's super fascinating. The top 10 countries around the world in dairy consumption, the US is in the top 2, and the US is in the top 2 for osteoporosis and onset osteoporosis and bone density issues. So why, if milk is supposed to give us a source of calcium, are we having bone density issues? It's because we don't get calcium in milk. There's absolutely nothing good for us in milk, and it's super bizarre that we consume the nursing fluid of another species, by the way. It's crazy, crazy weird. So for those of you with little ones, it's actually very safe to give your kids almond milk, and they'll get way more calcium from almond milk. I also recommend Coconut milk, I love it. And there's a brand called So Delicious. I know they carry it at Outpost, Woodman's. They do coconut milk coffee creamers and stuff like that. So if you're into something a little bit sweet in your coffee, it's a super killer alternative. And they also do coconut milk yogurt. Okay, so let's talk about when you're shopping. Really, really quick. First of all, when you're reading labels, do not look at the top part first. Look at the ingredients. Make sure that what you are purchasing is food. If there's a lot of words you can't pronounce and a lot of chemicals, put it back down on the shelf. Do not buy it. You should understand everything that's in your food. You should be able to read all of it and know what all of it is. Also, people will say, stick to the outside. So when you're thinking about buying your meats, buying your produce, all of that is on the outside of the store. So if you come in and you stick to the perimeter, you're in pretty good shape. When you start getting into the aisles in the middle, that's when you're going to be looking at more of your processed, prepackaged foods that aren't going to be quite as good for you. So that's a good general rule of thumb. So the last thing I'm going to mention really quickly is organics. So please understand, you guys, with organics, an apple is not an apple. There's an apple, and then there's an apple dipped in chemicals, essentially. Because of the amount of chemicals, toxins, and additives that we use on foods, what's happening is our soils are becoming really depleted. The topsoil is where we get something that we call trace minerals, which are the minerals in our body that affect our hormones. So a lot of you guys, I'm sure, are aware that thyroid issues are on the rise like crazy. If you talk to a couple people in your life, guaranteed a couple of them will have some type of a thyroid issue, which trace minerals are huge for the thyroid. And what's happening is the topsoils are having chemicals sprayed on them every year over and over and over repeatedly. And so we have super depleted soils. Trace minerals are not making it into our foods. Okay, so that's really important. So really, really quickly, here's what you should avoid, a top couple things you should avoid. If you're trying to decide, okay, I want to buy organic, I can't afford everything organic, what do I do? Here's what you get organic and avoid from the regular aisle. Peaches, apples, bell peppers, celery, strawberries, spinach, imported grapes, lettuce, potatoes. If you want a couple things where you can save money and not go organic, a couple of those main things you probably eat a lot would be onions, avocado, pineapples, asparagus, bananas, and broccoli. So those would be a few where you guys can buy from the regular aisle and feel just a little bit safer. Here's what you guys have to think about. Organic food is a little bit more expensive. Ultimately, it's like having an insurance policy on your body. So it's a little bit more expensive now. Long term, it will save you money in terms of your health. In addition to the fact, it tastes better. Mm-hmm. I know an organic apple is not as pretty as a chemical-induced, shiny, red, big, huge apple, but it tastes so much better. Mm-hmm. And you'll feel better. So now you understand why we need supplements, and that's absolutely scratching the surface. We could go on about food-related issues for hours, but I think those are some key ones that everybody needs to know about. Now, Angie's going to tell you guys some things that you can do to make sure you are getting nutrients in your body since we're not getting it from our foods. Mm-hmm. Amazing Miss Angie.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, that was awesome. I always learn so much from Katie. She's just incredible. So, okay, you guys, everybody knows nowadays you need a supplement, but the doctors and nurses out there, a lot of them think that supplements are a joke. And you know what? They're right. I mean, a lot of supplements are a joke because your body's not getting the absorption of the nutrients that it needs. So I'm going to show you guys a couple things you can do. Number one, you want to work with a higher absorbable vitamin. I'm going to show you some isotonic ones, which are the next best thing after an IV. What that means is you're getting usually between 90 and 98% of the nutrients of the supplement within 5 to 10 minutes. So your body's actually absorbing what you need. If you go to the store and you get if you get a pill, a standard pill like Centrum, for instance, Centrum has zero bioavailability. So it's like going to Walmart, giving them $10 and leaving without the vitamin because that's essentially the same thing you're getting. So you want to have something that's isotonic. Even an IV is good, but a lot of times people don't want to shoot up their vitamins. So this is another alternative that you drink. And these vitamins are all pharmaceutical grade. So I'm going to get into a couple of those in a little bit. But first, before all that, we want to get to the steering wheel of your body, the what a lot of doctors out there call like the central of your immune system, and that's your digestive tract. I'm going to show you guys some things. Your digestive tract is the core of your body, and once you regulate that and you have that going, the absorption of any kind of good food, nutrients, and supplements are going to be a lot higher because you are at a clean slate. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a couple slides here. Let's see here. Let's talk first about the aloe. I love talking about aloe. Now, up here in the top right-hand or left-hand corner, excuse me, there's a seal, a certified aloe seal. There's only a couple aloes that have this in the world. Basically, what this means is it's pure aloe. A lot of other aloes on the market, what you can do is actually have all water with 2 drops of aloe and call it 100% aloe because they do not count water as an ingredient. So with that, you want to find something that's actually pure aloe. What I love about this aloe, there's so many different nutrients. We have it in 4 different flavors. You drink it. It heals you from the inside out. It has over 200 actually branched chain amino acids. So it's really, really good for 22 branched chain amino acids, but 200 nutrients. So it's really good even for recovery, people that work out, athletes, but at the same time, it's an antihistamine. So if you're getting cold, like a cold, or if you feel like you're getting sick, it helps. It's also an anti-inflammatory, helps with your joints. But what I've really seen to help out with people is your digestive tract. It heals you from the inside. So anyone you know with acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, so on and so forth, I usually put people on this when they have problems pooping. So if you're constipated, that's a huge issue, you guys. If you're pooping once every day or even once every week, you need to do something. So a lot of times I put people on the aloe. That'll help you get regulated more. And then we got to talk about different challenges too if you have them. But this helps a lot of people when they're constipated. You want to be pooping like 3 to 5 times a day, okay? Also, what this does, this aloe is so powerful that if you actually keep it out for 20 minutes, it may spoil. It's very potent. It's so strong that as you're detoxing, and we detox every minute of our life, and our biggest detoxer is our skin. If you guys know anybody with skin challenges such as rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, it's going to start healing that up eventually because the aloe will heal that even though you're digesting it. So aloe is a great place to start. I tell people it's an amazing product. It tastes great, but that's good for the core of your digestive tract. So let's now talk about my favorite product, which is a detox cleanse, okay? There's a lot of products on the market, you guys. We all know that. You hear about detoxing and cleanses and why it's important. Well, let me just tell you a little bit of the background of it. The average person, by the time they're 18, has 10 pounds of literally like crusted poop stuck in their intestines, okay? By the time you're 40, you have an average of 25 pounds. What does that do? Well, eventually, think about everything you guys eat, okay? The only thing that really slips through your intestines while you eat and you digest your food is fruits and vegetables. Because if you mix that with water, it doesn't paste up. But if you mix bread and you mix chips and you mix pretzels and, pasta and you mix that with water, it becomes a paste. That goes in your system, okay? That goes in your digestive system. And if you're not pooping it out right away, it's sticking to the walls. So it keeps that small intestines getting smaller and smaller and smaller because it's closing up and up and up because it's full of literally fecal crusted poop for years. And what does that do eventually? Well, we don't see it, but we feel it. What it does is it causes toxins released in the body. It causes worms. It causes parasites. It causes just a bunch of, think about it. If you put food in 98-degree weather outside your place and you let it sit there for like years, it's going to look pretty gross, right? That's what's happening inside of your system. You just don't see it, but you feel it. People get diabetes. They get allergies. They have migraines. Just so many, 95% of issues are from a dirty colon and liver, okay? So what do? We detox and we cleanse. Let me tell you the difference between a detox and a cleanse. A detox goes inside the organs, the specific organs, and it cleanses like the dirty waters of those organs. A cleanse will overall cleanse your body. So the reason why I'm in love with this NutriClean system is it's a cleanse and a detox in one. It also promotes liver, colon, and whole digestive health. That's important. It's also 7 days and it's gentle. It depends on the person. Everybody's different, but what I love about it is you can do a 7-day cleanse. You don't want to do a 1 or 3-day cleanse because it's like a colon blow to your system. You don't want that, okay? I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. Another thing I love about this is it has something called Fibrosol. I'll talk about this in a moment, but Fibrosol is good because it puts probiotics back in the system. Probiotics are important because it regulates healthy cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood glucose levels, so it helps with sugar levels. Also, it helps put like probiotics in the body for women, if you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times our body, when we rob the body of good bacteria, we get yeast infections, and guys get acne, and there's a lot of different things that happen when your body does not have that good bacteria, okay? So, all right, so one thing I want to share with you guys is definitely, absolutely, unless you are constipated and you're pooping like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, you're going to start with an aloe, okay? Otherwise, we're going to start you on a cleanse. We need to clean you guys out. So now, everybody's different, you guys. You're not going to find right away you do a cleanse and you're good to go forever. I call it a fall and spring cleaning. You're going to want to do it twice a year. Before the seasons are actually important because a lot of things in our bodies change throughout the seasons. So I tell people twice a year. If you have a challenge, I personally have irritable bowel syndrome. I do these every 3 months. I say 3 to 6 months, you guys. That's important, okay? I love the cleanse product. It's awesome. It's good for you. You need to clean that out, okay? Bottom line. All right. Let's go to the next screen. Now let's talk about a daily essentials. What your body needs daily. And I'm going to tell you guys, 80% of health challenges can actually be usually in remission with these 4 products, okay? I love this because these 4 products here, I'll go through each of them. They give you 100% or more of your daily recommended vitamins and minerals. It promotes cardiovascular health. It helps maintain blood sugar levels and glucose levels. It helps joint inflammation issues. It helps skeletal health and healthy gums and teeth. It helps immune functions. A lot of people that are on this generally do not get colds. I'm not saying you never will, but generally you don't. Your body's getting the nutrients it needs at a very high absorbable level. It improves your stress and your mood and increases energy. So let's talk about the 4 that are here. The Daily Essentials Kit. Okay, the number 1 product is right in the middle. It's called OPC3. This is actually an antioxidant, but it's 3 of them in one. It's the most effective antioxidants known to man right now, which is red wine extract, grapeseed extract, and pine bark extract, okay? When you put all 3 of these in an isotonic form, your body's going to respond. This helps get rid of free radical damages that we get every second of our life by just breathing. If you're stressed out, you're in trouble. That means you have 10 with 27 zeros after it, every minute of being stressed out of free radical damage. Basically what that means is you need to be on this. If you breathe, you should be on it, okay? The one to the right-hand side is calcium. What calcium does is, let me get back to the OPC3. Sorry, OPC3 alone helps. It has helped with over 120 different diseases going into remission. Allergies, asthma, migraines, Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia, lupus, cancer, multiple sclerosis. I can go on and on. There's a lot of testimonials on it. Even people that were in wheelchairs, okay? Calcium, which is to the right. What I love about the calcium, and this is like a scientific experiment right in a bottle, in order for you to even absorb calcium in the body, you need magnesium, vitamin D, and boron. Magnesium, vitamin D, and boron will help not only absorb the calcium, but get it into your bones, which is where you need it. That's part of this. Men or women, both should be on calcium, okay? As you get older, your bones get weaker, generally from the food and the toxins that are in the air. To the left-hand side, activated B complex. This is very good for a lot of challenges such as stress, migraines, headaches. It's linked to even like constipation, diarrhea, twitching, you name it. This is something people should have every day. 52% of people are vitamin B, as in boy, deficient. So what does that mean? Take a I know so many people that actually take shots, an IV, a B, because their body needs B. Isotonics is great, but if you're very deficient in vitamin B, I would recommend getting the IV, okay? And I'm not kidding because it's extremely important for your body. And then to the way left, the multivitamin rocks because it has the essential vitamins we need. What does essential mean? It just means your body's not getting it out of your own body. You need to find it out of food. And Katie just went through an amazing talk about how we don't really have many vitamins or supplements in food. And if we do, it's depleted by the chemicals that are involved in it. So this is a great multivitamin that you actually get what you take and you get what you pay for. All these have no binders or fillers, all pharmaceutical grade. You feel a difference when you take them. So that's the daily essentials. There's one other supplement I want to touch upon, and then I'm going to give you guys a couple tips, and we're going to wrap up, okay? Let's see here. This is one of my favorite products right here. This is our anti-stress formula. I always talk about this because you know what? Stress is a huge, huge issue for almost, I mean, pretty much everybody I've always come in contact with. There's different issues that may be more stressful than others or even give you anxiety. I know when I get on airplanes, I don't like being in a small enclosed place. You'll probably never see me in an elevator unless I have to go up 27 floors or more. I always have Bliss on me. It doesn't even matter. But Bliss, what it does is it relaxes you. It also works on the hormones in your brain. So if you are somebody that has that gets real like uptight and stressed out and your brain's working a million miles a minute, you don't know how to shut it off, and you take some Bliss, it's going to relax you like you had 3 glasses of red wine. You're going to be like, whatever, dude, it's all good. It's going to totally just chill you out, okay?
Love it.
Woohoo! So Katie and I love that. But on the other end, it works with your brain. So if you're somebody that actually has like major issues such as like you're stressed out and you're just lethargic, you don't want to get out of bed, you're like, man, my life sucks, I don't really want to function. This is going to lift you up and it's going to make you happier, okay? It works on your brain chemistry. So the Bliss is amazing. Definitely talk to somebody. This I personally take as needed. I know people that take it every day. It's really up to you, but it works fabulously. It's like instant gratification. You feel it within 20, 30 minutes. So the last thing I'm going to touch upon, you guys, is to wrap this up, is some different tips, okay? Everybody out there has heard of omega-3s, I think. Omega-3s are like your sardines, your heron, your fishy oils, okay? Omega-3s are amazing for your heart, but they're also really, really good for your brain. Again, it helps with, I mean, I personally have adult ADD. It helps with the ADD in adults and children, you name it. But I'm going to tell you a tip. Omega-3s need to be taken separate than everything else. When I say everything else, I mean different omegas. Omega-6, there's omega-3s, 6, and 9s. Omega-3s need to be taken separate than omega-6 and 9s. And the reason behind that is it cancels each other out. The reason why I'm saying this is as you go shopping, you might find a bottle at Walgreens that say, hey, get your omega-3, 6, and 9s all in one. Well, you are essentially taking it and not getting any of it. Okay, so just be smart with that. You want to take separate omega-3s, and you can take 6 and 9 together, but you want to take omega-3 separate. Another thing I'm going to say, I mentioned this earlier, is your calcium. You want to make sure your calcium has magnesium, vitamin D, and boron, or you're not getting the calcium, okay? Calcium will be in the product, but you're not absorbing it. You need to have magnesium, boron, and vitamin D to absorb it. The calcium we have has it. Please, if you're interested, talk to the person that invited you, so you can get more information on that one, okay? And the last one I'm going to say is weight loss. People say, well, what are some weight loss tricks? This is kind of outside of what we're talking about, but when you guys wake up in the morning, usually you're sleeping for 6 to 8 hours, sometimes 9 or 10 in my case, but if you are sleeping that long, your body's in starvation mode no matter what. Pretty much anything you put in your body, you're going to store as fat, and it's going to convert as sugar, and it's not going to go away, and you're going to pack on the pounds, okay? Your body does not know the next time it's going to eat. It doesn't have that memory. So one thing that I love to teach people is in the first 30 minutes you're awake, you're going to want to have some form of protein. Protein doesn't store as fat. We do actually have a shake, and talk to the person that invited you, but the shake actually has the correct amount of protein, fiber, and calcium, because all of them aid in weight loss, to help your body be on like the fastest that I've seen metabolism, like rocket metabolism ever. So doing that in the morning really, really helps your body get in that metabolic rate, and you get you burn fat a lot quicker, especially when you're taking the right things right away. So anyhow, those are some tips that I wanted to end with. But again, you guys, thank you so much for your time. We're going to close this out. We do have another webinar at 9 p.m. on actually the business, on how we can take our business and make money, not only by shopping through everything we're already doing and getting paid on what we're buying, but at the same time on different supplements like this that we're in love with. So please join us at 9 p.m. Central Time. We would love to have you on. The link is actually on Facebook. If anyone needs questions, has questions, please message us and we can get that link for you. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for your time. Katie and I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
And you guys, this is recorded. So if there is I know some people have just messaged me. We will definitely have this recorded. So we can send it out to whoever you'd like. So thanks so much. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.